Hi, and welcome to Mindful, Beautiful, and Thriving, a podcast series by Tharaka Foundation focused on youth mental health. Before we begin today's episode, I just wanted to let you all know that all content that is found in our podcast is created for informational purposes only. This content is not intended to be a substitute for professional medical advice, diagnosis, treatment, or therapy. Always seek the advice of your physician or other qualified health provider with any questions you may have regarding a medical condition, and never disregard professional medical advice or delay in seeking it because of something you have heard in this podcast. Thank you so much, and without further ado, let's get started.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of Mindful, Beautiful, and Thriving. It's your host, Punam, here with a very special guest, Beatriz. Gratitude can be an excellent way to focus on mental health, resilience, and self care. Today, we are going to talk about that attitude of gratitude with Beatrice and how it is benefiting to her. And I'm sure you all will be inspired to have that attitude every day. Welcome, Beatrice. I'm looking forward to talking to you. Before I ask you a few questions, please introduce yourself and tell us more about you and what you are doing currently.
Thank you very much, Punam, for the warm introduction, and I'm more than happy to share a little bit about me. Well, my name is Beatriz Araiza. I was born and raised and living in Mexico City. I have a child. He is 10 years old, and he is my whole life. I am also a former dancer, and I love to sing, to dance, and I love musical theater. But I am also passionate about technology. That is why I'm also a computer systems engineer and now a tech leader in Cisco. That's a little bit about me.
Thank you, Beatrice. I'm so glad you're joining us from Mexico and sharing your journey with us. So, my first question is there a simple ritual you do every day to remind yourself of what you are thankful for as a parent?
Well, this is something that I do in general. I do it for two reasons. One, I started putting a lot of more attention on how I was sleeping. And for that, I started this ritual of just doing a little bit of brain dump of all the things that were like action items, pending items, and all that. And then I attended a training and they shared this exercise with me that I love and I adopted. And it was just every time before going to sleep, think about what I was grateful for, what I was proud of, and what I was looking forward to. And I love that because that put me in such a positive mood to sleep. And then I can actually get some rest. Because there are some days that we will inevitably be a little bit moody or things were not the ways we wanted to be or something happened, right? But when you do this exercise, you can see that actually every day there's a reason to be grateful, a reason to be proud of, and something to look forward to. So I think that's very powerful. And tying to the parenting side, and this is like, I don't know if it's a funny note or what, but every time that I do the what am I grateful for, like my son comes to my mind. His name is Patricio. And I'm always like, thank God, because I was able to hug him today before going to sleep. Thank God, because we are having such a beautiful relation. Thank God, because he's so funny, or because he went to a chess club, or because he did a very good performance at his soccer play, or just because we're able to hang out, or just because I'm able to be a mother. I don't know. And it puts me so sentimental every time that I go and write something down. I mean, I might write some other stuff, but that's always the first thing that comes to my mind. And sometimes I'm like, oh, but you put this every day. But I'm always like, yeah, and that's awesome. That's how amazing is that I get to feel grateful for being a mother of this amazing child every day. I'm not sure that everyone can say the same. So I'm grateful for that every night.
No, thank you for sharing your ritual, Beatrice. And as you're saying, it's so important to have good night's sleep.
Oh, yeah.
And in today's world, a lot of people they don't have and they need to take pill. Instead of taking that pill, why don't we take this chill pill, what you just mentioned? Just reflect on your day and be grateful for all the good things, what happened, right? That brain dump you mentioned. So you mentioned, and you do write what you are proud of. So tell us one thing you are proud of and how does it help you for your mental well-being?
I am proud of a lot of things. It's funny because I think we all have a little bit of imposter syndrome, and I am not the exception. But when it comes to be proud of, I can think about so many things. And when I'm proud of, I'm also grateful because I think the things that I do best, it's because I had amazing teachers, such as my parents, that gave me so much discipline and tools and that I can go to that now are my foundations. But something, oh, what can I say? Well, something that I can feel proud of is that I'm a doer and I have sometimes been called a get things done person. I like that. Whenever I find something and I understand the purpose to it. I am a very purposeful driven person. I will just get it done. I will talk to the people because I know I do not know everything, of course. I'm actually more a resourceful people than a expert on something. So I will just try to understand what's the challenge, why do we want to do this, and I will get it done. I feel proud about that. And also like the component that I enjoy the most, it's not that I will just do it because of the sake of doing it. I tend to build community around what I want to do. And again, it's not something that I would just childishly want to do, but something that I found purpose or something that will have an impact, such as the Mindfulness and Resilience Network, which I didn't share at the beginning, but I have been leading the Mindfulness and Resilience Network in Cisco inclusive community for a couple of years, and I feel so happy, so energized because I found the impact there. I found amazing like-minded people, finding the importance of being mindful about everything that we do in life, such as you, Punam, and other members of the team. And I think we have built community. We are still building a community. We're making impact and we're getting things done. So I think that's what I feel more proud of.
Certainly, Beatrice. I feel that goodness every day working with you. And
Thank
you
you.
mentioned purpose-driven life. That's so important. So, what is your purpose, if you don't mind?
In life, my all ultimate goal, to be honest, is to be happy. Because I mean, we all believe on a lot of different things, and we have different religions, and I have practiced just one. But at the end of the day, my own belief is that we are all souls, that we are being granted this body during this time in life, and we are here to learn and to experience everything with all of our senses. So I am here to experience it all, to learn it all, and to every time that things are not going my way, just have it as a learning path, as learning tools, and making whatever it takes that so at the end of the day I actually enjoy the time that I was here. And if at the same time I can impact positively the world I live in, the people I cross by, well, that's my cherry on top.
It is so beautiful, Beatrice. It's so simple, right? It is I think everybody's first and foremost responsibility to make themselves happy, not other people happy. But we forget and we try to please others, even though we are happy or not happy. So it's such a beautiful purpose. Forget about big goals and changing the impact. First, take care of yourself, be happy, and then only you can spread happiness. So it's so beautiful to hear from you. But I wanted to ask you another question. How do
Sure.
you find time for self-care? Because as you're saying, you're a mom, you're a working professional, and you are leading a big community also as your support system and as your give back. But how do you find time for self-care?
Yeah, I think it's about being mindful about it. And that's why I love this community of mindfulness and resilience, because that's where I actually found it. I think it all began because, as I told you, especially my mom, she gave me such amazing discipline tools. And I discovered that even though I wanted to be at every place at the same time, I think I am a little bit of like that. I'm very divergent. I like to do everything. I love everything. I get distracted by everything. But she helped me realize that if I was disciplined with something, I will make it happen. I remember her like every night sharing with me this small note about that person who perseveres will reach their goals. And I don't know, I that has always been like my mantra. I have always experienced that, and that's I think that's why I can say, okay, this is what I want to accomplish, and it ties to my very first answer. So every night I will bring up all the activities I know I need to do the next day, and actually I also go a little bit of a reality check to say, okay, I have 10 hours tomorrow or 12. What can you actually do of these hundreds of things you want to do? So I start prioritizing, and then I say, okay, this is what I want to accomplish. I will go to sleep, and then I will wake up and I will review those. And I will make sure they have a time on the agenda. I am a very organized person in that way. I have all, even my action items, or when I am going to eat, or I do have my meditation time. I have scheduled my yoga scheduled, and I am also flexible because I know sometimes I might feel tired, or my son will say, "Can I stay a little bit more in your bed today?" And I'm like, "Yeah, of course, right?" And yeah, I think this discipline and mindfulness, to be honest, be very mindful about why do I want to accomplish those things, prioritize them, and be real. Okay, so when and what can I actually do tomorrow without feeling overwhelmed? And having that as small spaces for flexibility. So I think that's how I accomplish it.
That's so beautiful. Being organized, prioritization, perseverance, right? And putting yourself first. Amazing tips. And you mentioned about your mom, Beatrice. It,
Yeah.
it seems like you had a big influence from your mom for shaping up who you are today. My question to you is, do you involve your son in practicing gratitude? And if so, how?
Oh, yes. At the beginning, the only thing that I did with him since he was a little baby was to, before going to bed, what was the best thing that happened to him, or what was the thing that he enjoyed the most during the day? And then I also said, what was the worst thing, and what can we learn from that, right? And then recently, when I started mine, I started with him maybe like 6 months after, or a little bit more, to incorporate the what are you grateful for, what are you proud of, and what are you looking forward to. I do it, I write it in a journal, but with Patricio, I will just do it verbally. And sometimes I'm very strict, but I don't judge him. I mean, I judge him sometimes in the inside, but I don't do it from the outside, because I know he's going to. I mean, he's a child right now, and sometimes he might be bored or whatever. But I know eventually this will stick, because sometimes he will just play with it, right? He will just say random things. But sometimes are very. He does some reflections, and I like it. But again, he's just a child. He's growing. I can tell that. And I know his answers are going to be a little bit different when he grows up. And again, I think right now it's about building the muscle of the gratitude for him, and then he will do whatever he wants to with that tool eventually. And I can tell, because that's what happened with me with my mom. She was very like, she was praying all the time, and she will say a lot of things to me, and I'm like, oh my God, mom, get over it. But now I can tell it was those are the most powerful tools that I have got, and I use them all the time, especially when I feel like I don't know what to do. I will go there. But sometimes when I'm good, and I love that very much. When I am good and I feel those like the bliss, and I can actually live it in the moment, because we normally tend to see it when the fact pass, right? Like, oh, last year or yesterday was so amazing. But when you are there in the time, feeling that bliss and acknowledging it, oh my God, I'm like, thank God. And I also know, and I'm even more grateful for those moments, because I know that when you're grateful, more things, more amazing things are coming. And I know it's not that they are just randomly coming. It's things are happening in life, good or bad, or just things, and you will maybe label them. But if you focus on the good things, those are the things that you're going to be living on. So I think I went super far from the actual original question, but yeah, I try to build the muscle of gratitude for him at nights, echoing the thing that I do with him.
Absolutely beautiful, Beatrice, because as you said, building that practicing, and you are the role model. He's watching you as you watched your mother, and you are right now thinking about her and thinking about all the
Oh, yeah.
gifts she gave you. I'm sure your son is appreciating you, and he will do the same. So keep doing
Thank
what
you.
you're doing. Absolutely. I wanted to ask you one more question. So, what
Sure.
was one of the most challenging moments in your parenting journey, and how did gratitude help you through it? Because, as you're saying, everybody's life is not always rainbows, blooming flowers, and butterflies. Ups and downs are part of our life. But I do believe that attitude of gratitude definitely helps us. And you did explain, focus on the positive, but I wanted to ask this question to you. Any insights?
Oh yeah, I have a couple, but I can think about the three most challenging moments so far, and I hope that those are the top. No, it's okay. I mean, whatever it takes to learn, to the learning experience. But the first one was when my Patricia was born. My mom was diagnosed with cancer, so she was not able to be with me at the moment. So that was, I mean, at the moment, I did want to be with her, but I understood why she couldn't, and she also wanted to be with me. She actually was here, but Patricia did. He was like a week later than the actual estimated date. So she, like, her doctor just called her, and she was like, "Please, you need to do it." Like, she needed some surgery. So she was not with me, and that was complicated also because my family does not live here. And I needed my mom. I think, like, if you have your mom with you when you're a child, like when you have your first child, that's an amazing experience that I didn't have. But I mean, I was grateful that I at least I had a couple of years with her more, and she actually knew how to met Patricio, and even when they did not interact a lot because like he was a baby, he has this glimpse of remembrance from her. And I don't know, I'm grateful that I had her, and at least I was able to talk to her. And something that I can tell about this that might be off topic, but I think it's important. She and I were so similar that we were always fighting when I was a young a teenager. And I think it was not until I had Patricio that I became a mom, that I was able to understand her every single thing she did that I was not able to before. And again, I think that's why I was grateful for, because I had 2 more years that I was able to talk to her and say, Mom, I understand everything. And she was like, look, at the end, she was like, please forgive me. And I'm like, no, I don't have anything to forgive, it the other way around. Like, and you live in me and all of the things I've learned, and you are and I are the same person. I don't know. It was a very complicated time when she passed, but of course also I felt immense gratitude that she was my mom. I feel so proud. I mean, she was an amazing person, a very enlightened person, and I love that she lives in me. That's the first one. The second one, I believe, when I get back from maternity leave, oh my God, Punam, I do love my job very much, but at that time I was like, I cannot do this. I used to be a project specialist, so I was like a back office person, but then when I went back, I was like somehow promoted to a project manager, which I am grateful, of course, because there's different responsibilities and all. But I don't think I felt all the imposter syndrome in the world, both for being a mother and for being a project manager. I think if I had a little bit more support at home, I would just left job, but I didn't need to feed my son. So I stayed. I was super resilient, even though there was times when I literally cried on the phone because I literally didn't know what to do. Like, my son was crying in my arm, and I was like, oh my God, I don't know what to tell this customer. I don't even know what's happening. I don't know what is a catalyst. At that time, there were catalysts. I don't know what's a nexus, I was it was very complicated, but I don't know. I'm grateful that God just gave me that resilience and that strength because I like Cisco is the first actual job that I have enjoyed every second of my life. Everyone receives me and accepts me from who I am, and they play by my strengths, which I think are different, but I think they are good. So I am grateful that I was able to stay. And the third moment, I believe, was the pandemic, because that's when we discovered that Patricio was diagnosed as ADHD, both ADHD and gifted. So he's like what it's called a twice exceptional. That it's like sounds really cool, but it's very complicated for them and for the parents, right? Because there are a lot of different difficult decisions to make. And I was it was pandemic. I was not seeing my family. It was him and myself at a very tiny space, and I was going crazy. There was also times when I will just put off my camera and just cry because I didn't know what to do. But again, I think I'm grateful for being able to have that diagnosis on time. I think me and his dad, that we're not together, but he's very supportive and a very present father. And I believe we are both very mindful parents. We have investigated a lot about ADHD, and I think we're taking good decisions. It was complicated because there were some mindsets that I had to, or stigmas that I had to break. But I think right now he's doing amazingly at his school. He's a happy child, and I think he's able to use his strengths and to use his gifts in a positive way. I don't know what's going to happen on the teenage years. I was a very complicated child myself in the teenager years, but well, let's see, and I will continue learning.
Wow, Beatriz, you went through a lot, but you are still smiling, and your attitude of gratitude is keep you going. I'm sure only good things are coming your way because of your, who you are and your purpose and the work you're doing for your community. Everybody loves you the way you are and I'm sending you my love and wishes. I
Thank
learned
you.
yeah, I learned a lot from you today, and I could relate myself, like, when you were talking about your mom. I think most of us, we do appreciate our parents more when we become parents ourselves.
Yeah.
But my request to all the teens who are listening to this podcast is to appreciate today itself. You don't need to become a parent to appreciate your parents. So, and so I know we are running out of time, but it was an honor to have you on this podcast and learning from you. And I do incorporate gratitude in my life every day. And my request to all the audience is to incorporate gratitude into daily life. It can be a small ritual, simple practice, right? Like keeping a gratitude journal, expressing appreciation to others, and taking simply, a moment to reflect on positive experiences, because that will uplift you, cheer you up, give you strength to keep going. With that, thank you, Beatrice, for joining me today.
Thank you very much, Punam.
You are listening to Mindful, Beautiful, and Thriving, a podcast series by Tharaka Foundation. As part of our youth series, we will be releasing new episodes every Friday, so make sure to continue to check those out. We hoped you enjoyed this podcast, and thank you so much for listening.